Tonight, the majority in Parliament tears into the minority caucus over what they describe as fear-mongering, scaring businesses away with their petty demand for parliamentary approval of every government contract.
It is important to remind our colleagues that they ought not make Parliament a busybody, nosing for things that are not part of the mandate of Parliament. Our job as Parliament is provided for in the Constitution.
Details as the majority dismiss accusations of constitutional breaches in the award of contract, including the controversial SML deal.
And the reference or the contract in question must be an international transaction. That is where our colleagues should pay attention. It does not mean that every contract with a multi-year value should come to Parliament. So they should stop misleading the public. They should stop spreading falsehood.
We'll hear from the minority side of the House here on Top Story. Now, the majority in Parliament is tonight tearing into the minority counterparts over what they describe as fear-mongering in their demand for parliamentary approval of every government contract. The minority has, in the last few weeks, taken government on for signing various contracts, including the recent 5G service deal with Next Gen Infranco. The minority contends that some of these sole source deals must be subjected to parliamentary approval, but the majority leader, Alexander Fear-Mongering, at a press news conference today in Parliament, says the nature of the deals do not breach any constitutional provision and does not demand any approval from Parliament.
Without prejudice to the general powers of Parliament to oversight, it is important to remind our colleagues that they ought not make Parliament a busybody, nosing for things that are not part of the mandate of Parliament. Our job as Parliament is provided for in the Constitution. And I would urge our friends in the NDC that by that act, they are obstructing government business. By that act, they are scaring investors, and that affects the economy. For the avoidance of doubt, let me quote the law they rely on, rather mischievously for their political purpose. Act 921, Section 33, it provides, a covered entity shall not enter into any agreement with a financial commitment that binds the government for more than one financial year or that results in a contingent liability, except where the financial commitment or the contingent liability A is with the prior written approval of the minister, and B, authorized by Parliament in accordance with Article 181 of the Constitution. So, the question is, what does Article 181 say? Now, for this purpose, the relevant sub-clause of Article 181 is Clause 5, which provides that this article shall, with the necessary modifications by Parliament, apply to an international business or economic transaction to which government is a party as it applies to a law. So, the contract and the reference or the contract in question must be an international transaction. That is where our colleagues should pay attention to. It does not mean that every contract with a multi-year value should come to Parliament. So they should stop misleading the public. They should stop spreading falsehood.
So that's the majority leader, Alexander Fear-Mongering there. Now, my colleague, James Aveji, was in Parliament monitoring the proceedings there and has joined me live in studio with more details. James, there have been a number of deals in question. Is the majority clear on which particular one they have consensus with?
So, Brace, if you, the minority in the past few days, as we said, took the government on, they have listed some few deals, including the SML deal, the 5G services, as well as the others. And so, when the majority leader addresses the press, he did not mention any of the deals categorically. And so, he just spoke to the issue about how they are taking on and all of that. And then the curiosity was which of these specific deals are in question. He would not speak specifically to any of them, but he made example of the SML deal. He was of the view that the SML is actually a fully domestic owned company, a fully Ghanaian owned company. And so per those provisions that he has read, he does not think that the SML deal needed to be brought to Parliament. And so he made an example of that. And then there was the question of the new deal, which is the 5G deal that government has signed with Infranco. We were told by the Minister of Communication, Esla, also that this was a special government purpose vehicle, which was SPV, which was used to set up to give the deal to this very particular company. And so he's been touching on those two, that in his view, he does not think that these two deals needed to be brought to Parliament for any attention.
Very general. They were general that the government agencies were signing contracts with businesses. My point here is that you cannot get up and generalize it. Let me give you an example of the GRA SML contract, for instance. SML is a Ghanaian company, a wholly owned Ghanaian company registered in Ghana. And it was their demand that the SML contract should have come to Parliament because it's a multi-year contract. Our argument is that that is wrong. Because if you read the Act, which Act refers to the Article 181 of the Constitution. Now, the Article 181 has various subclauses. So it is for them to pay attention to the aspects of the law that will require parliamentary approval. And I'm saying that 1815 talks about an international commercial transaction. So local contracts or MOUs or agreements of multi-year value but are local cannot come under the anticipation of Article 1815. But they are just throwing it in, confusing people. All right? And for me, as a businessman, I know the effect of such pronouncement on business and the economy. Some of their pronouncements affecting industry, and with the greatest respect, I am yet to see the contract. So I would want to respect the contracts and the terms of it. We are going to meet the ministers, and I'm sure that we'll have an opportunity to see the contract. When I see the contract, and it is a local contract, it's a contract between government of Ghana and a Ghanaian company to be executed locally, it is not an international transaction, then straight away I would speak to it. But I won't be surprised that again it's part of the NDC minorities agenda to throw dust into the eyes of Ghanaian people. But let's wait and see. I'm sure we'll be able to address it when the time comes. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your time.
So, Aveji is still here with me in the studio. Now, the majority leader has also talked about the implication of the minorities' action. Aveji, what exactly was he saying?
Yes, Brace. So, since last week when this issue came up, he was on pause as well, and he talks about the fact that and how economies are going around the world and Ghana's economy, a lot of businesses, especially the international businesses, are looking up to Ghana to look at how things are going, surveying the Ghanaian terrain to know what things, the political stability and all of that. And so some of this comment by the NDC, which he terms as falsehood, that are going out there could have dire implication on the government's partnership with some of these international industries and businesses working here in Ghana.
Basically, they are not going to give off their best. People will keep their money, and that would affect the good people of Ghana. Every government engages the private sector. The object of that is to create space for economic growth. So if you recklessly scare of the businessmen, and where you know that what you are putting out is not true, what you are trying to do is to sabotage the economy. So I would want to encourage them that yes, we know it's an election year, but let's argue on facts. Let's put out the facts. They have been in power before. They were in office for 8 years. There were things that they could not do. The very things they said they could not do, we have come into office and we've done them.
So that is the majority leader, Alexander Afanyo, marking there. So that news conference happened in Parliament this afternoon. What else was said there really that helps this discussion?
Brace, there was also the issue about the cedi depreciation. We know that the Ghana cedi has been dwindling against the major currencies. Today, we are learning that it's around 15 cedis and some pesos. The majority leader was of the view that some of this can also be attributed, in his view, to the minority who are mongering fear that businesses, the government performance and businesses, in fact, their position on the issue, the fear-mongering, is making businesses and businessmen go to exchange their cedis for more dollar, which is affecting them when the cedi actually appreciates against the dollar. They intend lose the value of their money, urging the businesses to not fall for some of these things and to keep their cedis as it is, because government is working pretty hard to get the cedi to back to appreciation against the major currencies. All right.
So this is Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel, connecting the energies. Let's go on the phone lines now and get some education into what the law says about, doing such kind of contract. Richmond Roxon is a private legal practitioner. He joins us on the phone lines now. Roxon, I'm grateful for joining. What does the law say, or what is the position of the law on such contract that has to go to Parliament for approval?
Good evening, Bruce. Sorry, good evening, Kojo, and good evening to your listeners. So when it comes to contract and parliamentary approval, we look at it from two angles. We look at the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution, particularly Article 181, which deals with parliamentary approval of international transactions. And then you also look at the Public Financial Management Act of 2016. The Public Financial Management Act of 2016, specifically under Section 33, is clear that once there's an agreement that goes beyond 1 year, you should be able to go to Parliament for parliamentary approval. So any agreement or any transaction of that nature that goes beyond 1 year will definitely have to go through parliamentary approval. Also, when you look at the 1815, any transaction of international nature must also have parliamentary approval.
But so when it's a local company engaged in business or engaged by government to do a contract, does that also fall within the remit of the provision of the law that that contract, whether it's a multi-year or not, should go to Parliament?
Once the entity is entering into an agreement that binds the government of Ghana financially for more than 1 year, whether it's local or whether it's international, the Public Financial Management Act, you are supposed to go to Parliament or Parliamentary approval. So it wouldn't matter in this instance whether it's a year or if it's less than a year, whether it's local or international, then you can make the distinction. But because it's less than a year and you're not binding government for more than a year, you don't need parliamentary approval if it's local. If it's international, whether it's less than a year or it's more than a year, you need parliamentary approval under Article 1815. Once you seek to bind, whether the entity is entering into the contract, the binding government for more than 1 year, whether it's a local entity or a foreign entity, that's when you need to go to Parliament.
Well, aren't there, some provisions elsewhere in the law that says if government is under pressure to provide a solution to a problem, it could go without parliamentary approval?
When you look at the act does not. In fact, if just permit me, if you have time to read, that multi-year expenditure commitment. It says a private entity shall not enter into any agreement with a financial commitment that binds the government for more than 1 year or one financial year.
Hello, Nelson.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the education, but it looks like there is, some echo of a sort from your background.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly.
Yes, it's better. So yes, as I was saying, under Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act, it's clear that a private entity shall not enter into any agreement with a financial commitment that binds the government for more than 1 year or that results in a contingent liability, except where the financial commitment or contingent liability is with the prior written approval of the minister and authorized by Parliament in accordance with Article 181. So the law does not give room for entities to maneuver this. Once you are committing government for more than 1 year, whether you're a local entity or foreign entity, you need to go to Parliament.
Interesting education there. Stay with me. Let me bring in the Roxy Nelson Dafenapo, who is a minority member of Parliament representing the people of South Dai. He joins us on the telephone lines now. Grateful to you. Now, let's start off with this. What specific contract do you have issues with?
Now, our issue, we've had problems with a lot of government transactions, but specifically, we speak of the current arrangement between the Ministry of Communications and the private entity called NextGen in Fraco. Like the immediate previous speaker said, in clear violation of Section 33 of the PFM Act 921/2016, the nature and character of this agreement ought to have come to Parliament. But they sidestep that parliamentary procedure to proceed with the arrangement. If you read the minister's own statement, you discover from the statement that the whole arrangement receives executive approval. Anytime this government wants to sidestep a parliamentary requirement, then they will go by executive approval, which means that they don't even discuss it at cabinet. So, and it's something we must critically take a look at. A lot of the things this government has done is by executive approval. But we are insisting that this one has to be complied with. Section 33, in consonance with Article 181 of the Constitution, will have to be complied with.
But that's
hold on.
Okay.
We are further saying that the value for money, that is the true value of this transaction, is in excess of $1 billion. But as a people, we could have obtained up to about 500 million upfront if the proper auction and value of the processes were done. There's no competition. They've taken away the competition and handed the value of the transaction to only one entity that for me exists only on paper. It's a shell company, a company that exhibits no track record in this area. So in these circumstances, we are making certain demands. And it's therefore preposterous for members of this government to say that we are harassing foreign entities who intend to do business in Ghana. We have laws that ought to be complied with. The country is not a sole proprietorship. Even as a sole proprietorship, you have to govern the sole proprietorship in accordance with the sole proprietorship arrangement. So we will not allow it. We will continue to check this government to respect the laws of this country. Nobody has gone to court to frustrate government business than these people when they were in opposition. So when they are in government now, and we are checkmating every single transaction that they conduct in flagrant breach of our laws, I think the proper thing to do is to ensure that they comply with the laws and not to pasteurize the opposition.
If they had opened the process to multiple entities to bid, would it still have been an issue for you to say you are sidestepping the law?
One, that will be in compliance with our procurement laws, Accuses 3, as amended by Act 914. That would have been in compliance with the law. 2, there would have been a value for money. Indeed, in Act 921, there's a provision that insists on value for money. We have just put out a statement that upfront, instead of the $128 million, we are supposed to get in 10 years from this transaction, we could have gotten upfront of about $500 million, and that should be of concern to every well-meaning Ghanaian.
So it means that if they had opened it up, you would not have had an issue with whether or not it came to Parliament or not. I want clarity.
But the parliamentary requirement will have to be met, because opening it up is part of the process and the procurement law that we are asking for. And then 2, once the arrangement is multi-year, that is as the requirement in Section 33 of the PFM Act, parliamentary approval will have to be sought. How is that difficult for this government to do? How suddenly is it that bringing an agreement of this nature in compliance with Section 33 for Parliament to look at it and give you the go-ahead is suddenly a very tall, difficult matter for this government to do? I don't get it.
So how do you then react to the majority concerns? And this majority is also made up of people who are like you, are lawyers. Now, they believe that this company is not an international company. It is not an international transaction, and therefore cannot come to Parliament.
Okay. We are not saying that it is an international company. That is a totally erroneous argument to make. We are saying that you have decided to structure the agreement in such a way that it has a 10-year tenure. We didn't do that. The government itself did it. That is why we are calling the agreement a work and pay agreement. So once you've done that in that manner, then the requirements under Section 33 will have to be complied with. So it is perhaps their incompetence that is creating the problems for them. Nobody asked them to create a multi-year contract. If you do that, 33 says, then bring it to Parliament.
Now, for the benefit of this country, must the focus be on the competence of an entity to provide a solution for the country, or whether or not the government is sidestepping, the laid down rules?
Both are very important. That one, a company that we are asking to provide such a highly sensitive service of that nature and of such highly technical nature, the entity that has been selected ought to have a track record. That would have been the appropriate thing to do. 2, any such transaction must be in compliance with our laws. Why do we enact laws? Why does this government sponsor bills and bring the bills to Parliament for us to spend parliamentary time and hour and resources to enact them into law? It is because there's something we call regulatory regime that is supposed to govern transactions. So when you are arranging a transaction of this nature, and our laws are supposed to be complied with, and you flout the laws, with all due respect, are we not in court prosecuting people because their conduct breaches certain provisions of our law?
Okay. Now, hold the line for me. Let me bring in Richmond Roxon, who's also a private legal practitioner. Richmond, what should be the next action to ensure that the right things are done?
The next action is that the minister should ensure that contract of this nature is presented to Parliament for parliamentary approval. When you look at the PFM Act 2016, again under Section 98, as a penalty for contravention of this Act, the Act makes provision for any individual or any person who contravenes a provision of the Act, failing to take such contracts to Parliament for parliamentary approval. Clearly, the contravention of the Act, which means that which makes it punishable. So the minister should take steps. Unfortunately, because of the nature of prosecutions when it comes to Article 88, which is done by the Attorney General, who is also a member of government, some ministers or public officials at the end of the day go scot-free. But crime is perpetual, and if the minister does not want to contravene, moving forward, it will be appropriate that all these contracts will be presented to Parliament for parliamentary approval.
Is he supposed to take these ones to Parliament, even though they've agreed on them?
Oh yes, you have to take it to Parliament at least for ratification. Even if it's been done already, take it to Parliament for Parliament to approve it. If it's rejected and there are any modifications that need to be done, it will be looked at. But at this point in time, in my considered opinion, the minister or whoever is in charge has clearly reached Section 33 of the PMF Act 2016.
Okay, grateful to you for joining. Now, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamopo, this is the case, but the majority is also accusing you of deliberate sabotaging government's progress. I mean, why that? Why that action? Why do you want to sabotage government from progressing to provide the solutions that we need?
First of all, what does that expression even mean? Any government action is supposed to be in compliance with our laws. So if government decides to take unlawful steps, it is the duty of you and I to call them to order and insist that they conduct the affairs of state in compliance with our laws. And so if government were conducting itself lawfully, constitutionally, legally, nobody would have a problem with them. For instance, like my brother said, what is so difficult about bringing this transaction to Parliament for parliamentary approval? Except because they are hiding something.
Roxanne Nelson Dafiamopo, I'm grateful to you for joining. He is a minority member of Parliament representing the people of South Dai. This has been Top Story. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Up next is Newsnight here on Joy FM.
I send them, you get them. I get them, I send them.
I get them.
I pay them.
Telesale cash. I get them. I take them. Telesale cash.
You get them.
I send them. Telesale cash.
I send them, you get them.
Telesale cash.
I get them.
I buy them. I take them.
I pay them. I send them.
Telesale cash. Telesale cash.
Experience the ultimate convenience of sending money on Telesale Cash. Sending money from Telesale Cash to Telesale Cash is free. You can also make payments to merchants on all networks. Enjoy best value and total security with Telesale Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
You worked hard for your money, and DSTV gives you a whole lot more for a lot less than you think. Instead of one takeout dinner, how about treating the family to a whole month of the best entertainment with DSTV? From thrilling sports, blockbusters, captivating series, to entertaining kids shows, we have it all.
Totally awesome.
And with DSTV Stream, you can watch on the go.
I'm here.
Plus, you can choose a package to suit your pocket. There's a whole lot more to enjoy for a lot less than you think with DSTV.
Eid Mubarak. Celebrate this Eid al-Adha with joy, love, and the perfect gift from Samsung. This Eid, we are offering incredible discounts and bundle freebies on selected phones in the A-series in shops nationwide. Whether you are connecting with family far away or capturing precious moments from the celebration, we have the perfect phone at the perfect price. From stunning display to high-speed performance, these deals are too good to miss. Whether for yourself or for those you love, this Eid, give the gift of connection and technology. This year, with a change inside, so you can enjoy discount on the Samsung Galaxy A05 and A15, 100 and 150 CDs respectively. This offer is from 5th to 22nd June 2024. Samsung wishes you all Eid Mubarak.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, food prices spike on the market, with fresh research showing it is set to get worse as activities of illegal miners destroy acres of arable land in major farming communities across the country.
You have seen crops, you have seen maize growing, you have seen farmers planting. But as of now, when you go to most of the places, there is no action taking place. After government shifted away from planting for food and jobs, there hasn't been any support to the farmers.
We'll also tell you the story of some farmers and families who are now unable to buy as much food as they used to.
And we can't make it. We're just struggling to buy little for the house. We have to reduce the size we eat, we take, and the size we buy to squeeze ourselves to see whether it will last for us.
They used to give me so many fingers. Now it's just a few of them. Yeah.
And Finance Minister and his deputy incurs wrath of locked-up investment holders after they failed once more to meet protesting investors who have been picketing at the ministry demanding government's intervention to access their locked-up funds.
We are resuming the picketing because we suspended if chance for the minister or the deputy minister to have that meeting with us. If the meeting is not coming on, then there is no need still holding on.
In business, government commences review of VAT component on mineral exploration in Ghana.
And in sports, Ghana's Black Princesses drawn in Group E alongside Japan, New Zealand and Colombia in the 2024 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup to be staged later this year.
Also tonight, the Electoral Commission has been issuing a stern warning to political party agents, vowing to throw them out if they misbehave at vote transfer centers across the country, barely 24 hours after the Commission made a U-turn on its earlier decision, preventing them from monitoring the process.
So we told them that they should come back, but the condition is that anybody who comes there to misbehave will be taken away from the place.
Details as the NDC maintains the EC is not being transparent.
The EC have not done anything extraordinary. What is appropriate under the circumstance of the exercise to allow for more transparency that will end into a credible exercise.
I will also take your views here on News 9055 1111997. And if you've been to the market lately, you may have observed the hike in the prices of foodstuff. A box of tomatoes that used to sell at 1,500 cedis now sells at almost 7,000 cedis, with many traders selling one tomato for 5 cedis. A small bucket of pepper, which used to sell at 65 cedis, is now 200 Ghana cedis. In Ashanti region, Emmanuel Brightqueku gauged the cost of some food items in Kumasi, where retailers and wholesalers are calling on the government to work at changing the economic fortunes of the country.
Prices of almost every commodity on the market has seen an astronomical increase. Rice, oil, milk, whatnot.
Just this morning, I came to buy rice. When I returned to buy another, they said they have increased it by 50 Ghana cedis. The prices increase at least thrice in a day.
But they said
they promised to make things better. We have money, but we cannot buy anything. I have to add the cost of transportation to the items.
But they say money is 7.3. They say me quite some to go 8.3 because me in and out.
The dollar keeps increasing, and you know most of this rice that we're selling here, they are not locally made. It's imported. And then one thing I was told to is like inflation has gone high. And then duties, I think they have increased from 11% to 20%.
And they have been telling us how the prices of commodities on the market is adversely impacting their business. And they are hoping that the government can actually do something about it. Reporting from here at the PZ Market in Edum, my name is Emmanuel Brightqueku.
Well, the story is the same here in Accra. We've been speaking to some traders.
They say Nanka rubber near 50 cedis. To say 60.
The sack of onions used to be 700 cedis. Just this week, it is 1,200 cedis. I think this is due to the transportation cost and the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar. Because I don't buy much because of the prices. The amount of money that can be used to buy the sack of pepper a few months ago can only purchase half a sack today.
Rubber near 150, and I weigh near 80, weigh 50, weigh 30. Once in so turn to S and Tamani Boyedi, Navrungunuko.
I want to bring in my colleague with the research desk, Isaac Ajay, who joins me right now in the studio with more on this. We've been monitoring a bit more on this particular matter, other food stuff. What is it that we're learning?
Almost everything has seen, an increase in price. For example, a sack of onions that used to cost just last week was 600 cedis, and today we are talking about 1,050 cedis. Now Papani also spoke about the price of other products. Now let's look at how much we are selling even pepper on the market. June last year you could get a paint bucket, what they call the paint bucket of pepper. It was around 65 cedis. Now we are looking at 200 cedis. If you also look at tomatoes, which used to cost 75 cedis at the beginning of the year, now it's costing around 180 cedis. That's more than 140% rise since the beginning of the year. And other products, in fact, rice, there's also oil, which have all seen more than 100% rise in their prices.
And we've seen some research that point to the fact that this may actually get worse.
Right, so this is a research published in the International Science Journal. The title is Drivers Shift from Crop Production to Mining Activities in Ghana and Arable Land. It was published January 24th, and some of the key findings of this research point to the fact that arable lands have been converted into artisanal small-scale mining. That's what we know as galamsey. And then also food crop production now, competes with mining activities for land and labor in Ghana. And then also the fact that household size and low crop yield, positively influence participation in mining. So these are the top 3 findings from the research work that points to the fact that arable land servants are being converted into artisanal small-scale mining, which we call galamsey.
Okay, and I want to bring in right now Charles Nyaba is a former executive director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Also joining me right now is Dr. Richmond Etuahene. He's a farmer himself and a retired banker. Mr. Nyaba, let me start with you. I mean, you are on the ground. You're a peasant farmer yourself. You led the association for a while. What is, from your experience, the reason why we're seeing these hikes on the market at this time?
Thank you so much. I think I listened to the report of factors that are driving the food crops. I agree partly with the indicators that were mentioned, but what was missing has to do with areas where mining or galamsey is not taking place. If you take the three vegetables you mentioned, tomato, pepper, and then onions, we consistently put out that Ghana has lost its capacity to produce tomato. A majority of the tomatoes that we consume comes from Burkina Faso. Now, what made the June, May prices so high is the fact that the city lost against the CFA, because we used to go to Burkina, a place called Po in those areas, to bring in the tomatoes. The onions, we're bringing it from Niger, Mali, Nigeria, and then the same Burkina. But for the past 2 months, you realize that CFA gained some strength. So because we have to change CDs, we have to change the CFA to bring in these commodities. We need more cities to be able to bring them in. Okay? So once you bring them in addition to the transport cost, you cannot sell it at a price that is expected compared to last year. Now, local production of tomato has completely gone down. You take Navrongo tomatoes, which is very popular with us. This year, the ministry tried to support farmers with seeds to produce tomatoes in the area, but the land is out. All the farmers who grew those seeds never harvested a fruit. You go to Techiman, Tiobodom, and Adan. Last year, this time around, we're getting tomatoes from those areas. This year, too, nothing happened. Cost of production is so high. Because of the climate change, the yield itself is so bad. So all these factors led to lower supply in the Ghanaian market compared to demand. So once supply is low, in addition to transport cost, the price will obviously go up.
Dr. Richard Etuahene is a farmer himself and a retired banker. Doc, on your farm, what's happening there? What's your experience on the farm? Are you increasing what you send to the marketplace to sell?
Oh, what we're doing is that we're not increasing, because we realize that the journal that published our galamsey, I really experienced it only 2 weeks ago when I went to my wife's village. I passed through Kokofu and then the place called Bosome Frehon, then to join the Kumasi Road at Bumfa Junction, where you drive to Konomo. I had a shock in my life, and I will never, ever forget about the experience. Almost every town from Aburinkadasu something to Aswansi or something there, the whole land, right side is galamsey, and the left side is cabbage. Can you believe it? People are digging galamsey on the left road. I even stopped there, and I started asking questions. Farmlands have been turned into galamsey. And it looks like it's all over the place, unfortunately. And the greatest danger, if we don't stop it, that we're all going to die one day getting up and die. Because when you buy these, what I saw there, cabbage, you don't even know where it came from. But you've forgotten that it's on the left side. It's galamsey. On the right, just across the road, somebody is cultivating it. So the galamsey is a real issue that needs to be tackled. You see, you talk about this environmental degradation. People have forgotten that what we are doing to the galamsey doing to the land is affecting the climate change. Because now, where rains and it fall on glass, now it fall on the soil direct. So if we don't tackle it with all the alacrity and speed and stop talking about the gimmicks, the English, I'm prophesying. I'm not a prophet, but I'm going to tell you that a time will come in 2 years' time people are going to die and die and die.
And as a farmer yourself, though, have the cost of planting, harvesting gone up?
You see, I was in the cashew farming. I was in the cocoa farming. And recently, as I visited the farm, you could not even afford to have one confidor and to spray a farm of about 70 acres. And the sad thing is that the people who held my farm assistant to his children, they've all left. So the man is old. He told me that the best thing is to dispose the 50-acre land and the unyielded land, possibly give it to some company so that we will leave the farming. And that is, you see, when we are talking about farming, we forgot about aging. We haven't made the farming a very, very enabling environment for youth to go in. So the aging population, whether it's in cocoa, which I know very well because I'm a typical cocoa farmer, you don't even have people to weed the cocoa for you. And the time is coming, and I prophesied this in 2022, that this year, Ghana will be earning only about 300,000 metric tons. People started insulting me. But what my experience with my cocoa farm, when I went there, is what I'm talking about. A time is coming. Even cocoa will improve. And don't forget, even a time will come, because of the arsenic content in our cocoa, it will be very difficult even to market it on international market. Because now, check at Ecuador. Ecuador is going to organic cocoa farming. And if they go to organic cereal cocoa farming, who wants to buy cocoa with that arsenic content on the land? Because you buy chocolate and you go and eat and you die. So for me, we should treat the galamsey issue, apart from the weather condition, and all these Mr. Nyaba was saying, the climatic change, it's about the way we destroy the environment. If you don't destroy the environment, the rain season will come in March, because my father and my mother we were farmers in a way. We plant when the Hamatan comes. By March, February, the first rain comes in, we go and weed the land and we plant. But now, the rains will wait until June and May. By that time, those you have planted has waded away.
Talking about rains, though, Richard Nyaba, when can we expect the harvesting season, and will that improve the prices we're seeing on the markets now? Do you expect the hike to normalize?
No, but let me just add a bit to what my good brother just said. You see, there's a trend. When you look at the middle, used to be the food basket of this nation. That's from Ejura, Techiman, Nkwanza, Kintampo, Wenchi. All those areas, when you go there, the farmers have converted their farmlands, food crop lands, to cashew. Simply because they could not afford the cost of buying agrochemical, the cost of buying fertilizer. But for the cashew, according to them, once you are able to maintain it to grow to a certain level, you don't need to buy any farm inputs. So these are other factors that also impacting the food production in those areas.
But will this improve when we reach a harvesting season?
No, because things will not improve. Because previously, by now, the middle belt maize would have been getting to tasseling. Northern part of the country, people would have planted and they are waiting for fertilizer to apply. As we speak, it is just last week that the rain started raining across all those areas, and farmers are now preparing to plant. For the middle belt, majority of farmers didn't actually do the major season planting, which they call the middle belt. We have first and second planting. Because the rain didn't come on time, they are waiting to do the minor season planting. But for the northern part of the country, they are still hoping that things will normalize. But as of now, the rains hasn't come just within this week that people are now plowing. So if the trend doesn't change, for us to now get regular raining pattern without flooding around September, then we should expect some yields. But if things change, and then all those factors come in, the yields are likely to be poorer than we are experiencing now.
Okay, and that there is Charles Nyaba, is a former executive director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Earlier you had Dr. Richmond Atuahene. He's a farmer and retired banker. Kofi J is still with me. Kofi, we've also been looking at the import numbers, and Richard Nyaba started by talking about many of the items we're talking about right now, the prices that a lot of you who are getting in touch with us are talking about, are items that we import, the tomatoes, the onions, etc. The volumes are staggering.
Well, let's start from the Ghana Statistical Service own data bank, and they provide information on these import value. And so we start with pepper and other pepper products. In 2023, we had to use $3.8 million. $3.8 million to import pepper and other pepper products into this country. Now, when you come to onions, we needed $1.8 million to import onions in 2023. Now, the biggest one, Evans, is tomatoes and other tomato products. $36.1 million dollars that we needed to import tomatoes and other tomato products into Ghana in 2023. This, according to the Ghana Statistical Service trade data.
Okay, and the Agric Ministry has told us that they will be issuing a statement on the rise in prices of foodstuff on the market that you're experiencing. Many of you have been telling us also that it's beginning to hurt your finances. We'll hear your thoughts, and some of you have sent us messages already on this. This from Philip in Keita. It says the commodities on the market are too expensive for Ghanaians, especially tomatoes and bakboshito. 4 pieces of tomatoes is now 20 cedis. Bakboshito is 6 to 4 cedis. It says 6 for 4. And so, therefore, what is the role of planting for food and jobs is a question that he's asking there. Philip in Keita asked that question. Some of you told us on the streets today how this is affecting your finances.
Pepper to whatever. And we can't make it. We're just struggling to buy little for the house. We have to reduce the size we eat, we take, and the size we buy to squeeze ourselves to see whether it will last for us.
They reduce the quantity and they're taking you the same thing. So I think it's one of the strategies of making sure that people don't complain. So I was asking her about why the numbers, they used to give me so many fingers, now it's just a few of them. Yeah.
Share your thoughts with us on this particular story. What has been your own experience on the market? 055-11-11997. Now, tonight, the finance minister and his deputy have incurred the wrath of locked-up investment holders after they failed once more to meet protesting investors who have been picketing at the ministry, demanding government's intervention to access their locked-up funds. The investors have vowed to continue their protest until they are ahead. They will return to picket at the finance ministry next week, Wednesday. They want funds locked up at the NDK Finance and 3 other deposit-taking institutions released to them. Now listen to the convener of the group, Dr. Edwin Aninche.
2 officials, and what they told us was that there are the deputy minister is not there, the minister is not there, but they have been told that when the deputy minister has traveled again. The deputy minister has traveled again. He is not available. The minister is also not available. But the deputy minister has promised again that when he comes back, you have a meeting with us. I said, that is fine. Our picketing is every Wednesday. So if something positive happens, even a Tuesday before the Wednesday and something positive happens, we can just inform the police we are not picketing. But if nothing has happened, we are coming here every Wednesday.
Well, some of the investment holders share their frustrations with Joy News.
The incident.
It is a struggle for our survival. I'm 54 years now. I don't know how long I'm going to struggle to start life all over. So we are on this journey for our survival.
Do you mind telling us the quantum of money you have saved with them that they are feeling?
Well, it was 500,000 Ghana cedis. 500.
How long ago?
That's 2020.
And for how long did you save with your institution that is failing to pay your money to you?
Some 15 years. It was money I saved every month, bits and bits. About 15 years I've been saving with.
And how much do you think you have there right now?
I have about 6 million there.
6 million Ghana cedis.
6 million Ghana cedis. And they've frozen interest on those monies. So wow. It's huge money. It's so embarrassing, so confusing, and yes.
I'm wild like a lion. Many breko. Many breko pass. Mesika pa.
Let's bring in the convener for the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum. Dr. Edwina Nientri joins us on the line right now. Himself was a former head of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Dr. Edwina Nientri, how much are we talking about? Have you assessed the quantum involved here?
No, we can't have, thank you for having me. We can't have that. Normally, you get deposited funds with any particular financial institution when they publish their accounts, their financial statements. Then they will state the deposits that they are holding. So if you don't get the financial report of that particular institution, you really know the deposits they are holding. And since we don't have the financial accounts of these institutions, we wouldn't know. But the Bank of Ghana will have that. They submit the periodic report to them, not only financial statements, but quarterly returns are submitted to the Bank of Ghana.
But from your members, you can estimate that from your membership, and
it will be difficult. It will be extremely difficult.
And I'm curious, why the focus on the finance ministry? NDK, for example, is a private entity that went under.
Yes. We have explained that the Bank of Ghana is the regulator of these financial institutions. And the Act requires that when a bank or a financial institution and a specialized deposit institution, they are all regulated like the bank. When they have challenges and the Bank of Ghana determines that they are going to be insolvent, even in the next 6 months, you realize that insolvent. The Act requires you to start the revocation or the resolution process. Resolution just means it's a technical term for just dissolving, taking the appropriate actions to